What's up, Raider Nation? Coming off the Super Bowl, Mahomes has his third ring, Andy Reid with his third ring. Uh, kind of what we expected. We expected the Chiefs to win, but the Niners had their chances. It sucks to see the Chiefs hoist their flag, hoist the Lombardi on our stadium. Tough to watch.
I mean, we called it, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
said we said Kansas City was going to win, no problem. And of course, okay, 49ers always make it interesting. 10-0, oh yeah, 49ers are going to win. Nah, no chance. Like I said it too when it was 10-0. I'm like, just watch Kansas City's going to come back and win, which the whole of America knew if there's time on the clock, you can't count out Patrick Mahomes. Like it's just if there's a game-winning drive to be had, like with 2 minutes left or less than a minute left, and there's a ball, if there's any sort of time on the clock and the ball's in Patrick Mahomes' hands, it doesn't matter. It's over. You're down by three, you're down by two. That missed extra point by the 49ers really hurt them actually, because they ended up going down by four instead of going down by three. Well, actually, if after Chiefs scored, they tied the game, and it was 19-19 after they kicked the field goal. And just with the last, few seconds of the game, Chiefs drove down and only needed three instead of four. So they got the field goal, they tied the game, they went to overtime, and then again another stupid thing, the coin toss. As soon as the coin toss happened, it was just Bob and I sitting in the theater alone when everyone went for a bathroom break. And I was like, wait, why did they just I was like, why did they just take the ball? Like in college, you always do defense first.
Yeah.
You get because then you get the ball twice. So it's like here it's the same thing. Like now that the rules are different, which 49ers claim they didn't know. Like, how do they not know? They claim they didn't know the rule change. That's what they said today.
Yeah. I would say two things for the missed extra point. Let's say they had made it, they would have been up four. The Chiefs were at like the 10-yard line, so they would have had a chance to win it then. They wouldn't have just obviously they can't settle for a field goal there. So they would have gone for the throat. They would have had to go for a touchdown at the end. So I mean, that extended the game. Like you could either that could have helped you or that could not have helped you if you had made that extra point. Obviously, you want to take that point, like you wouldn't want to miss, but it could have they could have also lost in regulation had they made that extra point. And in terms of the overtime thing, I was saying it too, like they should kick, right? But I think the reason they did it is because their defense was gassed and on the field. So they couldn't bring the defense out for another drive. And then they were saying also that Purdy would have been so there would have been so much pressure on him if Chiefs go down and score, like I don't know if they would have had faith in Purdy to go down and match Mahomes there. So you want to just get it out of the way first and have some faith in your defense who's performing all game. But still, like I want to get into Purdy. I just think that like it just shows that you only go as far as your quarterback is going to take you. That's what I took out of this game is like Purdy played, that's as good as he's going to play, really. Like he missed a few throws here and there, but that's Purdy's game. He was getting pressure like that. You can't put that on Purdy, but what is he supposed to do? He's not a big quarterback and he can't scan the entire defense. And when there's pressure in his face, he had no chance, like zero chance. And his ball's getting batted down. So, I mean, Purdy is very limited, and you could see that on when it mattered most, he couldn't get the job done. On those two third downs, it was 3rd and 4 in the fourth quarter. When they were driving down, they could have extended that drive and kicked a game-winning field goal. It was 3rd and 4, and his pass got battered at the line by McDuffie on the slant. I think it was to Ayuk. And so they had to settle for it was a long field goal. Moody made it, but they left time on the clock for obviously Chiefs to go down. And then in overtime, it was a 3rd and 4 at the goal line. He got pressured. He had to loft it up. It was basically it was dead. The play was dead at the start.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, Purdy, I thought he played better than what I thought because he didn't turn the ball over. We said before he was going to throw a pick guaranteed, and he didn't. He took care of the ball, but I mean, Chiefs defense is good, but he was getting peppered the entire game.
Yeah, and I think the McCaffrey fumble on the first drive was also just bullshit. Like that also cost them the game right there. Because if you go down and score a touchdown on the opening possession, you're up 7-0 just like that. Then it's like, okay, maybe you'll score more points. Maybe the over under it would have been over 47 points. And I think just the whole game changes right there when McCaffrey fumbles. Like, sure, I think Pacheco fumbled a couple times, and it was like, oh, a disastrous two drive for the Chiefs where Pacheco fumbled, but it didn't matter because as long as Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands, and there's time on the clock, We've seen it time and time again. And in order to stop the act, you got to stop the magician, like Jack Jones said. And I feel like, I mean, we were the last ones to beat Kansas City. Like, look at their past 5, 6 games. We were the last team to beat them on Christmas Day. And the way we did it was we just hit Kansas City over and over and over. We hit him over and over and over. We just licked Mahomes every single play, just kept on hitting him. So that's going to be, I think eventually teams will start to figure out Kansas City. We thought that, and they ended up just figuring out Eric Bieniemy. They didn't really figure out Patrick Mahomes. I feel like Antonio Pierce really did figure out Patrick Mahomes, especially in the first half of the first game and throughout the second game. Um, I'm glad now we got some sort of decent offensive coordinator, who won 2 MVPs with Rodgers and knows Devontae well. But I think it only matters if we get someone who could throw the ball. And I think we should trade up and try to get one of those 5 guys who are available. Whether it's Penix, Daniels, May, Williams, or well, I don't want JJ McCarthy. So those 4 guys are the big names. Um, but in all these mock drafts, also, I'm not seeing Raiders taking a QB in any of these mock drafts. Like these guys are giving us tackles and giving us cornerbacks. Like, okay, that's nice and all, but that's for later rounds. First round, we need to trade up and be aggressive and get our guy. And hopefully that'll be Jaden Daniels. I mean, but you're right. I mean, I heard it getting thrown around a lot yesterday was that, oh, Jaden Daniels is like a skinny guy, like Bryce Young, like doesn't have much structure to him, can get thrown around pretty easily. So that makes sense, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Super Bowl was a shit show. Kansas City won again. 4 Lombardis. They pass us. They pass Denver. They have the fourth. They get their fourth ring. I think now the only people that have more than them are 49ers, Cowboys, Steelers, and Patriots. They're tied with Green Bay. Um, for having 4 now. So we'll definitely, next year again, maybe they're gonna go for a three-peat for sure. They're getting everyone back together. They already said. So maybe Antonio Pierce will have something for them. Um, but we'll see.
Yeah, and like you said, we were the only team to beat them in coming down the stretch of the season. But like what we did, we played flawless football, and that's what you have to do. Like our pass rush was getting there. We were hitting him, like you said, but also on the back end, our corners were plastering. They were covering their receivers. There was no separation where it was wide open throws. Obviously, there was a few. For the most part, our corners played amazing. Amik and Hobbs, and obviously Jack Jones with the pick six. So you gotta play flawless defense. And I mean, to me, the Super Bowl exposed that. I think the two biggest things that you need in the NFL to succeed and win a Super Bowl, because that's ultimately where we're trying to go. We're not trying to make the playoffs as a 7 seed, 6 seed. We're trying to win a Super Bowl, and we're trying to win a Super Bowl. And
Supper.
in order to do that, you got to have a QB and you have to have a good defense. Like you got to pepper the quarterback, and you obviously have to have a quarterback of your own to make throws. And when it matters the most, when it's a third down and four and the game's on the line, you got to have someone you feel confident in. And obviously, we know that's not Aiden O'Connell. We know it's not Jimmy G. We got to get our own guy. We got to get our own version of Mahomes. And there's going to be a few in this draft. Whether it's I don't know who's going to be the gem of this draft class, but I mean, there's a lot of potential options for us, and it's up to Telesco and Pierce to pick the right guy. And Telesco's done it before. He's picked the right guy in the past in Justin Herbert. Because Herbert could win a Super. You could win a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert. We saw what he did against us in that Week 18 game. He let him down on a drive similar to what Mahomes did to tie the game, right? So we just have to get our guy in this draft. If we don't, it's just we're going nowhere if we don't get our franchise quarterback in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, because there's not a veteran quarterback that's going to be available. That could be one of those Gannon type guys we bring in, he wins MVP and takes us to the Super Bowl. There's not one of those guys. Kirk Cousins is definitely not that guy. Um, he's really the only big name free agent quarterback that I can think of right now. Uh, but let's look at our opponents for next year. Because I mean, it's never too soon to start thinking ahead to who you're playing, and it comes up quick. So if we essentially we can go through one by one. Schedule will come out maybe mid-May, usually it does. Um, which is usually what's pretty nice. Like, it comes out right when school is ending and well, at least for me, school ends like first week of May. So, as soon as school ends, you see, oh, Raiders schedules out, then training camp starts and the draft is already passed. So right here, so we got the three division guys, obviously home and away. But at home, then we have one, two, three, four, five games. And away we have one, two, three, four, five, six games. Um, okay, so 6 and 5, and then 17. Okay, so obviously 17 games now. But so we get the NFC South and the AFC East, or no, AFC North. So NFC
Okay.
South and AFC North.
Yeah. AFC North's going to be tough because they got four above 500 teams this year. So they're going to be a tough division to play. In terms of our division, I think we're going to go 4-2 because I think the Broncos, we can sweep them again, theoretically. I
Yeah,
think they're going to be worse because they don't have a quarterback now. Like, I
right,
don't see them upgrading from Russell Wilson. They're in
right,
our boat a few years ago when we got rid of Carr, we downgraded.
right,
So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be as good as what they were this season. So if we sweep them, um, and then hopefully split with the Chargers. I could see us splitting with them like we always do. For the past like 5, 6 seasons, we split with the Chargers.
right.
And then the Chiefs, I think we can steal a game off them too. I
Yeah,
think when they come to Allegiant, our guys are going to be motivated. They came, took our locker room, took our training facilities, planted their flag. I don't see us losing to them in Allegiant next year. I think we cannot lose to the Chiefs in Allegiant. And I think like our guys, similar how they were motivated on Christmas, they can be motivated to win against Chiefs in our home. So
right.
I could see
And,
4-2.
and away game wise, we have two trips to LA and two trips to Florida. So we play Chargers and Rams and Bucks and Dolphins. So obviously I'll be at both the LA games next year. I know we'll definitely get out to one. Um, I always end up going to one alone because no one wants to go after we got our ass kicked the first time. This was just a couple years ago. I dragged my dad to both of them, but usually how it turns out is I end up going alone. And this year I went alone to the Chiefs and Raiders game in Vegas. I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm like, I'm just gonna go and see how this plays out. And we were up 14-0. I just don't even want to think about that actually. We're looking ahead now, not back. There's no rear view mirror. Um, but we go, okay, then we also go to Baltimore. We play at Ravens and we have Lamar. And then we play at Saints and we get our good old buddy, Mr. Carr. So some couple tough road games there, Cincinnati and Baltimore and New Orleans, especially those three are kind of the main three that are gonna be tougher on the road. And then at home, Carolina, Jacksonville, Atlanta, those are three easier ones. And then we have Cleveland, who was kind of just on a Cinderella run last year, and Pittsburgh, you never know what you're gonna get. So I mean, I could hypothetically just depends how we do in free agency and the draft. If we get a quarterback, we have a chance to win a lot of these games. If we don't have a quarterback, which I don't see happening, but then we'll be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. And it's not like a lot of these teams that we're playing, like Panthers, Steelers, the games that you need to win, like those teams don't have quarterbacks. They have Kenny Pickett, like Trevor Lawrence. Like none of these guys are world beaters. They're not moving the needle for you. So like this year, like we constantly said throughout the season, if we had Derek Carr, we'd win 10, 11 games easily. But that doesn't mean you're going to a Super Bowl, right? So winning these games is you can win with O'Connell or Garoppolo. You can win 8 or 9 games, but that's not what we're trying to do, right? You
Right.
can be competitive against the Steelers or whoever, but we need a guy where it's a complete shock if we lose those games. Like we're going in as favorites, as 7, 10 point favorites.
Right.
So like I think those four teams that you listed off at home, I think you said Steelers, Panthers, Jags, there's
Falcons.
one and Falcons. We should win all those games. Even with our current quarterback, I think we can win those games. So, I mean, that's what is that? That's already 8 games right there. And then you
Yeah.
just got to win, let's say two more just to guarantee a playoff berth. So Saints on the road, I think we win that game because Carr, like with pressure on him, with like I see our D line just absolutely teeing off on Carr, and what he can't do anything when there's pressure around his feet. So I think we win that game. Uh, and then NFC North, it's going to be tough because there's Ravens, Browns, Bengals. I don't see us beating. Bengals are going to be good next year. And then we play the Rams. That's a coin toss game, I think. Like they've consistently beat us in the past, but I think we're gonna have a better team next year. We have AP in LA. It's gonna be home crowd, so that's a coin flip game. So we're already at 8 or 9 right there, and we just need a few to break our way. So I think it's very possible for us to make the playoffs, but the playoffs aren't what we're after. After watching the Super Bowl in our stadium, we're after the Super Bowl. Like we can't afford to be the fifth seed and lose in the first round. Like that's not the standard for us. The standard is we got to go and make noise and make the Super Bowl. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Raider Nation. Not the outcome we wanted yesterday, but not either outcome would have been great for us. Even though Kansas City is the way worst outcome of the two. Just keep liking, commenting, subscribing. We appreciate it. Share our videos. We're working hard on these and getting back in track of everything. We'll just keep on coming. Now the off season's officially began, so there'll definitely be updates. Coming probably on a daily basis. So we'll keep monitoring those and keep getting zooms out. So we'll see you soon.